What's going on, Jerome's? A third Minnesota Vikings practice is in the books today on Friday. On Saturday, tomorrow is going to be the first practice open to fans as the welcome back weekend, all that stuff. And then day off on Sunday, first full padded practice on Monday. Woo! Pads get clack-a-lackin'. That's when training camp actually starts. But we got recap 10 takeaways from the Friday practice. Number one, lightning crashes. So they did suspend outdoor practice, moved it inside after a lightning thunderstorm rolling through the southeast metro. So it is what it is. Number two, Cris Carter, CC, as well as Pat Williams, mountain of a man, nose tackle, the pride of Texas A&M, were in the house today. And we'll get into it, but CC working with receivers. Hopefully Pat Williams was working with Kyrus Tonga and Calvin Avery about what it means to be just that man in the middle. And, I mean, Pat Williams and Kevin Williams, the Williams wall, that was legit, man. Even though that StarCaps case, I feel like that's still going on. But Kevin Williams, in my opinion, should be a Hall of Famer. Pat Williams was one of the best run-stuffing nose tackles in the game. And also you throw in Jared Allen was on that defensive line. Come on. I mean, come on, son. Let's go. Next up, number three, mainly a walkthrough. And something that's very noticeable is the pace and organization of practice. Kevin O'Connell was obviously very organized last year, but Vikings are go, 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 go. I think the Heat may have part of it as well. Get in, get out, and get your work done, all that stuff. Number four, I'm 12. So going back to I am 12. That whole thing. Going back to 12 personnel. The Vikings, I mean, is 12 personnel going to be the Vikings' base offense this year? Potentially. I think it's going to be close in terms of how much they use it versus 11 personnel. So 12 personnel, again, one running back, two tight ends. So TJ Hockenson, Josh Oliver in the mix. Josh Oliver is a mountain of a man. Josh Oliver is the size of a tank. I mean, Josh Oliver is going to be a major part of the Vikings offense, and you don't really see his name pop up in the highlights. I mean, yeah, he gets the odd catch or two, and I think that he's underrated as a receiver, but he's going to be out there. He's going to play a majority of the Viking snaps, and I think he's going to be transformative in the run game, as well as the mismatches that the Vikings can have out of 12 personnel. I think that's going to be something worth watching going forward. Even though Oliver may not get the bona fides and all the headlines, I think he's going to be a very important piece of the Vikings offense. Next up, Kirko Cousins is feeling it. That's right. Kirko is out there. He's dropping dimes. He had a Johnny Munt red zone touchdown today where he thread the needle, cussed a little bit. Kirko Cousins. That's right, man. And I do think a large part of it is being in year two of this offense. He does have confidence. He does have command. He doesn't have to tear down and learn a new system, a new language, a new anything this year. So I think that they're just building upon success from last year. And I've said it a bunch, and I'll say it again. I do think that 100% Kirk Cousins is set up better than he's ever been in his career for success. I think he has a chance to have a fantastic year, maybe an MVP adjacent year, but we'll see. Next up, number six. Justin Jefferson is still good. So, JJ made the highlight catch of today, elevating above Byron Murphy as well as Harrison Smith. It was a decent ball from Kirk Cousins. And, Jefferson, here's the thing. Jefferson is wide receiver one in the league, and the best thing is that he's not resting on his laurels. He's always going to be pushing himself, and I feel like he's not even competing against other receivers. He's not even competing against anyone else. He's competing against himself, and he is a self-starter, and he's a guy who came in with a chip on his shoulder. He was a two-star recruit coming out of high school, was slept on, fell to the back end of the first round. Several receivers taken ahead of him, even including his teammate Jalen Reagor, and I think that, I mean, he's a guy, he's kind of quiet, he's kind of low-key, but I mean, there's just a fire burning inside of him, man. Love it. Also, Lucky Jackson, he is for real. So, Lucky Jackson, the pride of the XFL, the DC Defenders, he's having himself like a really decent camp under the radar. Second and third team. He's making some nice catches, making a couple of touchdowns. I think that he potentially could be a guy that sneaks into that wide receiver 5-6 or potentially practice squad and go from there. Because I do think that the front four is set with Jefferson, Addison, KJ Osborne, Jalen Naylor, even though Naylor's missed the last 2 days of practice. But beyond that, I think that it is wide open, pun intended, of who's going to secure wide receiver 5, maybe 6 if they carry him on the roster or the practice squad spots. Next up, number 8. So speaking of receivers, so JJ and Addison worked with Cris Carter. So CC in the house, that's right, just the GOAT, talking to goats, the men who stare at goats. That's right. And also, Cris Carter was involved in some of the receiver drills. This is from Seaford. Addison and JJ ran routes today under the watchful eye of a certain Hall of Famer whose name rhymes with Cris Carter. Wait a minute, his name is Cris Carter. Oh, Kevin Seaford, who's not Carl Gershman, by the way. You can see CC over on the side, talking to Jordan Addison. And here's the thing, too, like, this tutelage is fantastic, and JJ has taken it to heart. I know that right after the draft, Addison and CC talked, and also they talked off to the side today. So Cris Carter is perfect for Jordan Addison in terms of Cris Carter made a lot of mistakes to begin his career in Philadelphia and rebounded and became one of the greatest receivers of all time. And just in terms of being on the field, I mean, CC was not the fastest, he was not the quickest, he was not the biggest, he was not the most athletically gifted receiver in the game, but he had fantastic hands, and he was one of the cleanest route runners in the game. And it's just... well, especially along the sidelines, man, just circus catches all over the place. But Cris Carter as a mentor to JJ, as well as hopefully Addison will take CC's mentorship as well, and just go from there. I mean, you have one of the greatest who have ever done it as a resource, and he wants to help you. They'd be fools not to take it, man. And then cornerbacks wise, it's still Evans and Jawan on the outside, as well as Murph working in the slot now. I've said this much, like nickel basically is the new base, so Murphy and Jawan and Evans are basically starters on the Vikings defense, and even when they work in a third safety, sometimes they'll be 6 DB, sometimes they'll be 5, but it's interesting because Evans is 6'2", and considered a larger cornerback. Jawan Williams is 6'3", 212, both long and lengthy on the outside, and they do bring a little bit something different to the table versus some of the other cornerbacks. And Evans, even though he played a lot of zone in college at Mizzou and Tulsa, I do think that he has the makeup to be a press man corner. So that's potentially what Flores wants to do, having Evans and Jawan on the outside, just long, lengthy corners, pressing their man and keeping everything inside. They're also both prolific tacklers in the run game, so that could be how Flores initially wants to set things up. And then, of course, Murphy doing the damn thing in the slot. And then lastly, no change for Daniil, Jalen Speedy Naylor, or Brian O'Neill. So Daniil, no call, no show, third practice in a row, but he is still in the building. He still is attending meetings and all that stuff. Jalen Naylor missed his second practice in a row. No word from Kevin O'Connell or anyone what's going on. Brian O'Neill working off to the side. And, of course, it's going to be a regimented process to get him back onto the field week 1, and obviously it makes sense. And Oli Udoh has been filling in at starting right tackle for the Vikings. But that's it. 10 takeaways for Vikings Friday practice on July 28th, 2023. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.